Hello and welcome back to Galgorm Hall. This is the November 2018 update, and as you can tell it's getting cold, hence the hat and the fleece to keep me a little bit more comfortable while I try and potter about with things on the layout. Got the trains running behind me here, so let's hope they don't derail. They haven't really been running that long and I think they're a little bit cold. They need a good stretch of their legs. Actually, on running trains, I did do a little running video a couple of weeks back, so if you haven't seen that, click the link in the top right hand corner and it'll take you to that short video. It also gives you a little snippet of some of the locos in my fleet, so if you're interested in that, check out that link. But anyway, as I said, it's the November 2018 layout update. This month I have primarily just got focused on doing the little cameo scene of the yard office. Some of you maybe have seen the work that I've carried out on that, on fitting out the interior through the Facebook page, but for those of you who haven't, that's primarily what this update is going to cover, is that little yard office. A couple of other wee aspects that are coming along at the end, including where I am or where I'm not in terms of getting that static grass finally put down, and that more or less covers it for this month. Just before I go, I just want to give a little shout out to a few guys who have sent me some layout cards this month. Hello to Mark at Kirkton Road, thank you very much for this. The same to Ian at Chicago Fleet, thank you again for yours. And finally, Dave from Dave's Trains, thank you very much for your card too. Really appreciate all these. Anybody else would like to send me out a card, please give me a shout. I'd certainly happily have one to add to my collection. And if you would like one of my cards, please give me a shout on Facebook through the link down below, and I will certainly send you out one of mine. Just before I go, I want to, oh, one of the trains has just come loose. Bear with me 1 second. Sorry about that. Those Kadee couplers are great, but if you don't get the right length one on it, the buffers knock against each other and can throw away one of the bogies off the line, and that's just what happened there now. So I'm going to have to change that Kadee to a longer length one. What was I saying? Yeah, so thanks again for those layout cards, really appreciate it, guys. One other thing before I go, I want to make one other little shout out, and it's to another YouTube channel. This is to Paul at No Name Junction. He's been running a YouTube channel for about a year now. And in that year he's been, there it's away again, I'm going to just stop it I think. Sorry, he has been running a YouTube channel for about a year now, and in that year he has been experimenting with a temporary layout before he expands out to build a full-size one in his garage. Now that full-size one is an ambitious plan, but I think with the knowledge that he seems to have picked up in this past year, he's going to nail it, so he is, and it's going to look quite impressive whenever it is complete. He is a professional artist by trade, and you can see some of that work coming through on what he's doing, particularly with weathering, working on his wagons and logos. It really is quite impressive. So if you're interested in finding or checking out a new channel, go over to Paul at No Name Junction and check him out. For now, I think I'll leave it there. I'm beginning to get a wee bit cold up here. I think it's time to go downstairs and get warmed up, and I'll catch you soon. See you later. Bye. Right, so after the finishing of the cobblestones, I wanted to change tact a wee bit and work on something just a little bit different. just to get a wee break from actually doing some of that larger scenic stuff. So I've turned my attention to the yard office. Now I've actually made some more progress since it maybe featured in some of the pictures or the video of the layout. The roof has been weathered. There's now guttering fitted around the sides, and that's just, I think it's 1.5mm U-channel Plastruct. Chimney added to, or a chimney pot added to the chimney, and downpipes added. Now those downpipes, if you click on the little link on the top right hand corner, you will see how I went about making those. They're a very simple but very effective way of getting some downpipes onto your builds. So if we go inside, I've fitted an LED. Now these are just attached on with some little glue dot stickers at this stage. I had meant whenever I built the roof of this thing to incorporate the LED light into it, but to be honest I completely forgot, so it is very much sort of an afterthought. Hopefully this will do. If it doesn't, I may have to go down sort of a wee drop of super glue to fit it in place, but anyway, it's in there for the time being. Take that to one side and we'll go back to the little hut. Now, as you can see, there's a bookcase and a little notice board with, I suppose, some manoeuvres going on within the goods yard, but I lined the inside of the goods yard with some plastic card. It worked very well on this, on the two window walls. With the windows, to glaze them, what I actually did first, if you can see here, it looks to appear to be a gap between the plastic card and the card wall, but what that actually is a sheet of clear plastic. So rather than just trying to cut out a fiddly small section that just fits around the window, I went with a full sheet of clear plastic on this wall and on this wall, in order that, well, one, you don't get, you know, sometimes whenever you glue these small sections on, there's such a fine amount of glue that's holding it to the actual build that in time it tends to pop away, and yet you end up having, you know, you're without a window. So I thought that was probably quite a good way of preventing that. So anyway, it's all then been lined with plastic card to create some sort of interior, because with the lighting we are going to be able to see inside this. So the next stage was to build a floor for it, and this flooring is just it's the Wills wood flooring sheets that you get, and it was just cut to fit, bearing in mind that you need to cut a little bit extra out to go into the doorwell. It's been painted and weathered. Now the painting was done, and actually if you do want me to show you how I went about doing this, let me know in the comments below and I'll certainly do a little video on it. But essentially I used 3 different colours of enamel paints and just selected, you know, randomly painted across it. Now at no stage did I ever clean the brush to take the next one, so you're actually getting a lot more variation in the colour. Once that was all dry, a wash, or not actually a wash, the same way that I do the brickwork, where I painted some grey acrylic paint over the top of it and then smear, you know, wipe most of it off with some paper towel, and it gives quite a decent effect of a wood flooring. But like I say, if you want me to show you how I did that on a scrap piece of the Wills sheet, I'll certainly do that for you. So that fits neatly onto into the base, but I'll not put that on, because what I have now next is a little fireplace. Now the fireplace will sit over this little hole here, and the fireplace works for 2 reasons. One, it just gives a little bit of decorative effect within the actual yard, but also I've left it as a clear channel behind, so that the wires from the lighting can run down in behind that, and it keeps it invisible to the eye. So he will sit there, Again, this has all just been built out with strips of plastic. I used a couple of square Plastruct strips just to keep the whole thing square whenever I was gluing it together. The little fireplace, again, just little strips of plastic card. Now for the arch of the fireplace, to get that neat perfect arch, I used a hole punch, and the hole punch worked out just right in terms of the dimensions required for it. And by doing the hole punch, then you can just run a craft blade vertically down to the ends, and it gives quite a nice effect of a fire inset. What I may well do with this at a later stage is pop a little flickering orange LED. I don't have any to hand at the minute, but I was planning to order some up, and I may well pop that in there as well, just to give a little flame effect in the fire. The the coal scuttle and the clock are both little extra bits that I had in the scraps box, which actually come from the Ratio signal box interiors kit. I had needed 2 of those for my signal box, but I didn't need all the extras, so they've come in handy for this little build. So that'll sit there. So I needed a desk and a chair, and this desk drove me mad for a couple of weeks trying to work out how to make it. In the end, I had actually started, I could get the top surface of it straightforward. I could have actually used a plastic card for that, for it was thin enough, but I did want to get that nice wood grain effect. Again, you're not going to see it in this yard office, but at the same time, it was just nice to be able to know that I could do it. And if you do look very closely in through that window, you'll be able to get a true effect of what the desk looks like. But the desk was initially cut out the measurements for the desktop. This center bit here is just a square block of some sort of strips of wood that I had. I have a whole lot of this stuff in the roof space, it's sort of it's more for doll's house side of things. It all actually came from my granny at a time, which she was big into her doll's houses, and when she could no longer do it, I inherited all her modelling stuff, and it's really useful just to have around. But anyway, I cut a little section of that, and then, as with the desktop, the whole sides of it were clad in this here. Now again, this came from the same collection of modelling bits and pieces. It's a very thin, I think it's about 1/2 mil strip of wood sheets, and you can see the nice grain that's in that. So that was cut and glued to the sides of the little bit of, I suppose it would have been a dial really, all around the sides. Just a craft knife to score 2 lines to represent the drawers, and on this side that same wood sheet was doubled up to create the support for the other side of the desk. It was all then painted in using Saddleland sort of stain, and the little lamp again from the Ratios signal box interior kit, and just a couple of small sheets of paper with a wee bit of scribbled writing on it, just sort of to denote some sort of work that's going on the desk, and then actually just glued in place with a little dab of matte clear varnish, just to sort of adhere it to the desk. So that was that. Now, once I got that sorted, well, we need a chair, don't we? Now the chair is fairly rustic and very simple, but to try and get anything better in this sort of gauge was going to prove very difficult. And again, it was using that same wood strip sheet. Seat base, just a single one. I cut a very long thin strip of that material and doubled it up, and then once dry I was able to cut the shorter sections to act as the legs and the back of the chair. But in all, I think it just sort of sets the little scene off quite well. So with that done, I can now place this yard office. I've still the door just to finish. The door's being made at the minute, and it's just in the painting process, but I am ready to put this onto the layout. So once I get that little door on, I'll put it onto the layout, we'll get some lights on, and that will be another little feature finished for the layout. Alright, so that's it onto the layout now, and I would say that's it more or less complete. You'll just about be able to pick out the door. Let me see if I can get this in any closer to see the door. I've decided to leave the door in an open position. It's just going to give a little bit more detail of the view inside. Now the door was again just made using clear plastic card. It was scribed vertically down the door to give an indication of sort of sheets of board being put together to construct the door. And there's a tiny little door handle on it. Now that door handle has been made just using a very fine piece of I think 1mm Floris wire, a hole drilled through the door, and then the wire fed through on both sides, and just a tiny dot of super glue just to hold it in place. But just sort of helps set it off a wee bit. You'll see also that I've added a little step to the outside. Now the internal flooring, those Wills sheets are exactly the same height as what the cobble sheets are. So what I've had to do is add a little strip of plastic, if you can see that, just underneath the Wills sheet to raise it up just enough so that again you take another single strip of the plastic card, give it a wee touch of cementy sort of colour, weather it down, glue it in place, and it just sort of lifts it a wee bit. Just another little detail. But like I say, that's it, sort of 99% there now. Get a wee figure for it, either for sitting at the chair in the office, or certainly somebody maybe walking in or walking out of the yard office would just sort of help set that off. I've been looking at the wee pricer figures, and there's one or two of them in the I think there's a workman's range, that might suit the thing perfectly. Okay, so from other than doing the yard office, pretty much the only other scenic work I've been doing is getting the track ballast down on this section of the track. That sort of opens up opportunities now for me to actually start looking at doing the static grass. Now it's something that I keep repeating over and over again. I'm getting close to doing the static grass, but do you know what, another month goes past and it just doesn't seem to happen. But I feel it's getting fairly close now. The only other thing that's sort of holding me back a wee bit is getting the tile grout skim onto these road surfaces, and I do aim to do that very, very soon. I watched one of Fred at Wilbury Castle's videos there recently, and he'd been using the method on his harbour scene, and it's just sort of G'd me up a wee bit again to get this section of the roadways done, and that way then this whole area can start getting the static grass. I've went and ordered up some more static grass, and I used Richard's discount code to pick up a batch of stuff from WWS Scenics. So with a good mix of 4 and 6mm, and I think there might even be a 2mm in there somewhere, of different colours and variations. I'm hoping that by mixing and matching some of this stuff together we can create a sort of half decent scene on the embankments. Other than that, I've started into the model of the Victorian houses. This is the Victorian terraced house, which is going to sit at this end of the yard. Now the idea behind this is that it's a couple of dwellings, for maybe the station master or signalman, from the box. It's very early stages of the build at the minute, and the one thing that sort of shouts out at me at the minute is my word, is quite big in this area. It sort of towers over that little yard office, and let me bring you back round to it. I'm just not 100% sure on it at the minute. Give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think yourselves of the build. Like I say, it's quite big. Now maybe I don't put it up against the the paving. Maybe I need to set it back a little bit further. Having said that, there's very little space in behind it to work with, but you know, I don't know. I think actually probably what's not helping as well is it's bright red at the minute. It needs painted and weathered down, you know, to sort of tone it in an awful lot more with everything else that's going on here. But that's on the workbench at the minute. And beyond that, I've done absolutely nothing this month. Oh no, actually I did one other thing. I've installed the final point motor in this area of the layout. Now that means this whole area is now operating on the DCC Concepts point motors, and they're all working through the controller. It's good, but I find that particularly with the NCE Power Cab controller, there's a lot of fiddling about of stuff to get the actual point motors changed over. And if you're maybe operating a train or a locomotive in around the area, it can be quite stop-start. So I think what I'm going to do, just around here, I'm going to put in a wee control panel just with the 4 switches on it, so that if I want to, you know, react to something fairly quickly, it's just at a flick of a switch there to actually do that. Just give me one wee second there. So this is a control panel that I had for the previous layout. You know, it's just a little bit of ply, something like that, just sort of lodged in there with the, you know, the 4 little switches on it, and the diagram of the track plan, I think would just probably help with the overall operations in this area, rather than just relying on the power cab. The power cab's a nice option to have there, you know, just for operating the controls, because you can basically do it all just sitting down. But you know, sometimes you have a runaway train and you just need to switch those points a little bit quicker than what you'll be able to do through the power cab. But that's basically it for this month. Hopefully next month we will have that skim down on the roadways. I'll move on a little bit further on the Victorian Terrace build. And you know what, Christmas is coming too, so that's probably going to curtail some of the work on here. Now, talking of Christmas, I have an early Christmas present coming to me, so I'll introduce that that new item next month. It's another logo for the layout. That's as much as I'll say for now, but we'll introduce that to the layout next month, and you can let me know what you think then of it. But for now, that's as much as I think I can fill you in with. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Thank you to everyone who has come on board in the last month. It's great to have you along for the ride. If you like the video, please click the like button. Please comment in the comments below. I always enjoy getting those, and I certainly try and reply to every single one of them too. And in the meantime, I'll see you soon. Okay, take care for now. Bye.